you here.
Susan.
Thank you for
so
coming.
much. What an honor to be with you today. And Susan, I was interrogating her earlier. I said, do you have a science background? It's like, I was an English major. So she says, like, and I care about science, so the next best thing I can do is to raise money to support science. And he's like, that's kind of why I do what I do for a living. Since I am probably not the world's best scientist, the next best thing is help an organization that supports scientists. But I was asked to share some thoughts with you and then end by introducing my colleague, Manu Platt. But I'm going to reverse the order and tell you about him first, because in a way, his life story is why you do what you do. So here is a kid from New Jersey, right? From a family of, is it 5 boys? 6, sorry. 6 boys. Parents are not scientists. In fact, when they had all these kids, they hadn't even finished college at the time. He comes to Morehouse. You give him a scholarship. He's an ARC scholar. Graduates Morehouse, comes to Georgia Tech for graduate school. Postdoc at MIT. Comes back to the joint program between Georgia Tech and Emory. So here you have 3 of the institutions that you support. And not only, yes, feel free to applaud. That's a great idea. And so here's that. Not only he is excellent at what he does, and he's doing science, and he's teaching, and he's doing research, but in his free time, 7 years ago, he created a program called Project Engages. What it does is brings people, students, from Atlanta Public Schools to Georgia Tech, puts them in labs with faculty members. They get paid, by the way. This is a nice part of the program. $10 an hour or so. Life is tough, but they're teenagers. Huh? And it's basically, there's no better way of telling a kid who may not have many scientists in their surroundings to say, you see yourself here in this lab? You can do this. So think about the gift that kept on giving. You planted a seed with Manu, and it is hard to count how many talents for science and engineering you have helped inspire because of that investment. And by the way, I can assure you that all of us, many of us who have gotten into scientific and academic careers, even though we each have our own different story, there are some elements in common. I grew up in Madrid, Spain. My parents did not go to college. I did not have role models around me of people who had done science or engineering. I didn't know that anybody could get a thing called a PhD, let alone to do it in a great American university. In my case, it was not an ARC scholarship, it was a Fulbright scholarship. Without it, I would not be doing what I'm doing today. And I'll tell you a little secret about a scholarship when any of us receive a scholarship, and any of the students we've seen up here today. Scholarship is not just the money. Yes, the money is critical, because without the money, you're gonna have the pressure to go earn a living elsewhere, and you risk losing that talent from science and technology. But the scholarship gives you an additional invaluable message. The scholarship is telling you someone out there thinks that you can do it. Someone out there is telling you that you should do it. They want you to do it. They care that you do it. That is as important as the money that goes with it. To know that there are people out there who really care about what you're doing and they want you to succeed at what you're doing. That is really irreplaceable. There's no other way to send that message. And these are not just great words. These are great words that come with a check to deposit in your bank account. Message gets clearly received. I'll be honest, I didn't know much about ARCs, and I'm blown away by this organization. I've been reading about it. It's like, this is really incredible. So a group of women, this is all entirely run by women who have picked science and technology as the cause they want to invest their time and energy in. I think this is the coolest thing that you could do. And I'll tell you why I think, I'm slightly biased, given that I do this for a living, but I'll tell you why I think this is the coolest thing. So I recently was in New York City, my second week in the job. I went to New York. I've collaborated with the United Nations on and off for a number of years. The United Nations, a few years ago, went through a process, all of the countries in the universe, to list what are the biggest problems that we as a species, not we Americans, we Europeans, we, all of us human beings, what are the biggest problems that we face? This is a pretty interesting question to ask, right? If we went through this room, we each would list our own priorities. Well, think about all of us in the world, through our representatives, deciding what those things are. And out of that came 17 things that we have to get resolved. And they have to do with dealing with our climate, and dealing with some pervasive infectious diseases, and dealing with gender equality, and providing education for all. And the list goes on. Reducing poverty, providing food and sustainable food, access to water, the list goes on. 17 things. And there are 17 pretty darn important things. These are not nice to haves. These are things we absolutely have to solve if we're going to have future on this planet. It's about 8 billion of us right now. By 2040, it's going to be 10 billion of us on this planet. These are things we absolutely need to get done. But the reality is, there is absolutely no way of dealing with the top issues of our time. There's absolutely no way, unless we use the tools of science and technology. And there is no way we can really leverage the tools of science and technology unless we find the best talent at our disposal and encourage them to do science and technology. And talent is equally distributed. Talent knows no gender, talent knows no race, no socioeconomic status or income. But opportunity does. Opportunity does. So if there is a kid in an Atlanta public school that has talent, that has the capacity of coming up with a new cure of cancer, or the new way of producing food sustainably, and that kid, for whatever reasons, doesn't get into Dr. Platt's lab or some other lab, it's not that kid who fails. It's all of us who do. So it is for all those reasons that I am really inspired and excited about what you do with this organization. I cannot believe I didn't know about it before 48 hours. But I now do. So I'll tell you, what you do matters a great deal. What you do not only changes the lives of the amazing scholars that we're celebrating today, what you do makes a difference in the lives of all of us. So I, on behalf of these four wonderful universities, Morehouse College, Emory University, University of Georgia, and the Georgia Institute of Technology, I say thank you, and keep it going strong. And now it is my pleasure to do what I was asked to do, which is to introduce my dear colleague, Dr. Manu Platt.